Good morning. I call to order the meeting of the Philadelphia City Commissioners Return Board for Saturday, September the 21st, 2024. This meeting is in compliance with the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. The Philadelphia City Commissioners are a three-member bipartisan board of elected officials in charge of elections and voter registration for the City of Philadelphia. Each commissioner is elected to serve a four-year term that coincides with the municipal election cycle for mayor and city council. The commissioners set and enforce departmental policies to administer voter registration and conduct elections in accordance with federal, state, and voter registration election laws. The city commissioners were created by the Pennsylvania Assembly in 1711 with a focus on taxation and held various regulatory powers throughout the centuries. The commissioners started maintaining voter lists in 1799 and took on more election-related responsibilities, but didn't emerge in its current form until the adoption of Philadelphia Home Rule Charter in 1951. We will start off with public comments. Before beginning their comments, commenters shall state where they live or if they are not a resident of Philadelphia, that they are a Philadelphia taxpayer. Public comment is not an opportunity for Q&A. It is public comment, a chance for you to tell us what you think. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak. However, I may extend the time at my discretion. Public comment must concern matters on today's meeting agenda. Finally, it is my responsibility to preserve the order and decorum of the meetings. As such, profane, slanderous, discriminatory, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. If you wish to make a public objection to a perceived sunshine violation, please raise your hand and I will recognize you. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Anyone wishing to offer a public comment, please step forward. Hearing none, we will now move to the email public comments. Commissioner Bluestein, are there any email public comments?
There were no email public comments by 7:45 a.m.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to old business. First, we have a report from our Directors of Election Administration and Operation, which will be reported by Mr. Joseph Lynch and Stephanie Reid. Just come on the record.
Like yesterday, we continue to work on finishing the special election and all things are going well.
Yes, we're continuing our usual process.
Okay.
We finished the L&A test yesterday, and now we're going into the final testing for probably starting Monday for the final testing.
Okay. Vice Chair Deeley, do you have any questions? Secretary Bluestein, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
That completes our old business for today. We will now proceed to new business. We will begin considering the first agenda item, mail ballot sufficiency determination. We will call up our Deputy Executive Director of Compliance and vote by mail. Good morning, Dana. Can you please read the first category and number of votes? Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Missing signature. We have 61 ballots.
Hold on, Dana. The first one I have is missing date.
Missing date. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay. So missing date. I have 23.
I move that this board does not accept ballots with a missing date. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
Hold on one second. Hold on. All right, Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, remarks on the motion, please.
Sure, I was gonna get to that. We just did
Thanks.
the motion.
Sorry.
Okay, got a second. We didn't vote. We're not gonna do anything.
Sorry.
You're gonna have the opportunity. All right, go ahead, Vice Chair. I'm sorry.
I would
Would
like
like
to
to
read
make
from Judge Slicer's Commonwealth Court majority opinion in the recent Black Political Empowerment Project versus Schmidt case, which was brought against this board and dealt with this subject. Quote, In this original jurisdiction matter, we are asked to determine whether two provisions of the Pennsylvania Election Code that require electors of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to date the declaration of the elector printed on the second or outer envelope of absentee and mail-in ballots violate the Free and Equal Elections Clause of Article 1, Section 5 of the Pennsylvania Constitution. See Sections 1306 and 1306D of the Election Code, 325 PS 1346.6A and 3150.16A, dating provisions. The dating provisions and other statutory phrases within them have been the subject of numerous lawsuits since the 2019 inception of Act 77. Nevertheless, despite various state and federal jurors' suggestions regarding that potential viability of a challenge to the dating provisions under the Free and Equal Elections Clause in prior case law over the past 4 years, the present challenge is the first of its kind. For that reasons that follow, we conclude the fundamental right to vote guaranteed by our Constitution is at issue. For that reason, a strict scrutiny standard of review applies to the dating provisions restrictions on that right. Under this standard of review, the government bears the heavy burden of proving that the law in question is narrowly tailored to serve a compelling government interest, and where the government fails to satisfy its burden, the law or its application is unconstitutional. As has been determined in prior litigation, the date on the outer mail ballot envelope is not used to determine the timeliness of a ballot, a voter's qualifications, eligibility to vote, or fraud. Therefore, the dating provisions serve no compelling government interest. The refusal to count undated or incorrectly dated but timely mail ballots submitted by otherwise eligible voters because of meaningless and inconsequential paperwork errors violates the fundamental right to vote recognized in Free and Equal Elections Clause." End quote. Though the Commonwealth's order was eventually vacated on technical grounds, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did not rule on the merits of the constitutional argument. Therefore, as the latest and highest court ruling, I have to conclude that not counting these ballots because of meaningless and inconsequential errors that do not affect determinations of the timeliness of a ballot, a voter's eligibility to vote, or the prevention of fraud would be a violation of the Pennsylvania Constitution. I am in my third term as City Commissioner, and at the beginning of each term, we are legally required to swear an oath. It goes like this, quote, "I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. The Pennsylvania Constitution is one of the documents that we swear to support, obey, and defend. Therefore, I believe that we should not count these ballots." We should count these ballots. I apologize. We should count these ballots. Thank you, Chair.
Sure. Secretary Bluestein, do you want to make any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I agree in principle with Vice Chair Deeley that these ballots should count, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court vacated the Commonwealth Court opinion ruling, and we have an obligation to follow the law as it currently stands. And unfortunately, that means that we're not able to count these ballots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Vice Chair. I agree with you as well, Mr. Bluestein. So having no other comments, we'll now proceed to vote. Secretary Bluestein, can you please call the roll?
Vice Chair Deeley.
No.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Being moved and properly second. Oh, we did that. Okay. Well, the motion passes. We'll now move to the next category.
Incorrectly dated, 46 ballots.
I move that this board does not accept incorrectly dated ballots. Is there a second?
Second.
Does anyone want to make any comments before we vote?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Brief remarks on the motion, please.
Sure.
The Black Political Empower Project v. Schmidt case also dealt with incorrectly dated ballots, and I would like my remarks from the previous category also noted here. I believe the Free and Equal Election Clause of the Pennsylvania Constitution requires us to count these ballots. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Bluestein, you want to say something?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Again, I agree with the sentiments of Vice Chair Deeley. Secretary Bluestein, you want to call the roll?
Vice Chair Deeley.
No.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now move to the next category.
Not enclosed in secrecy envelope, 28 ballots.
I move that this board does not accept ballots not enclosed in a secrecy envelope. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Any commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, brief remarks on the motion.
Vice Chair, every time we vote, I'm going to allow everybody to speak. Everyone to speak. Everyone to speak. Thanks for action. I really appreciate that. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
The Black Political Empowerment Project versus Schmidt case did not deal with the so-called naked ballots. I believe that the arguments which I read for the previous categories apply here too. The secrecy envelope does not determine the timeliness of when a ballot is received. The secrecy envelope does not determine if a voter is eligible to vote, serve to prevent fraud. But this is no longer the case in a post-Act 77 world, with the centralized mechanicalized counting of mail ballots. So there is no longer a compelling interest to not count these ballots. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I agree with your sentiment, too. Secretary Bluestein, can you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Before I do, if I may just add a
next
comment.
statement. Sure.
Again, I completely agree with the sentiments that you and the Vice Chair have stated. I believe these ballots should be allowed to be counted, but with the previous rulings by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court telling us that we are not allowed to count them, I believe it's important that we follow the law as we proceed.
Thank you. Let's proceed to vote, please.
All right. Vice Chair Deeley?
No.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir?
Aye. This motion passed. We will now move to the next category.
Missing signature, 61 ballots.
I move that this board does not accept ballots with a missing signature. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioners, do we have any comments on this before we vote?
I have none.
I have none.
Secretary Bluestein, please call the roll.
Vice Chair Deeley?
No. Yes.
That's a vote in the affirmative. I vote aye. Chairman Sabir?
Aye. The motion passes. We will now move to the next category.
Date damaged by post office, we have 0 ballots.
Okay. With no ballots in this category, we will move to the next category, please.
ID verification, no social security or driver's license on shore record. We have 1 ballot.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we table this and the next 3 categories, F through I, per 25 PS 3146.8. Voters have until the 6th calendar day following the election to provide proof of identification to county boards of elections. I also have a copy of the letter that we send to voters telling them that they have 6 days. We are currently only on day 4. Voters still have until Monday to verify their ID. Therefore, it is too early for us to consider these.
Okay. Can I do a 5-minute recess to consider that? Vice Chair, is that all right with you?
Okay.
Okay. So just for clarity for the record, Vice Chair, you want the next 4 categories to be tabled until Monday?
Till at least after Monday, Mr. Chairman. They have until 5 o'clock, the voters have until 5 p.m. on Monday.
Okay, so I'll second that. Secretary Bluestein, did you have a comment before we vote on this?
I think voting on the categories so that the staff know how to apply our rules in advance of receiving those ballots does no harm to any of the voters. So I don't see a need for delay, but I'm happy to move forward as the chair sees fit.
Okay, so you want to do a vote on that? That we're going to table the 4 ID verification categories until Monday?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I just make one more comment for the
Sure.
record?
Sure.
The predetermination of ballots, in the past, the law department has been opposed to this. So I would reasonably anticipate the same consistent posture. But
Secretary Bluestein, you want to call roll?
Vice Chair Deeley.
I vote aye.
I vote nay. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. So, just so the record is clear, the 4 ID verification determinations, we will revisit that on Monday. It's tabled until Monday. So we will now move to the correctly dated and blank signed front of the declaration envelope.
Correctly dated and date blanks signed front of declaration envelope. We have 0 ballots.
Okay. One second. No ballots in this category. We will move to the next category, please, Dana.
Signed and dated front of declaration envelope. We have 0.
With no ballots in this category. That's all of them. Okay. No ballots, we're going to move on to, that's it. Okay. Oh, thanks. Appreciate you, Dana. We don't have no ballots in that category. We're going to move to report for the provisional ballots now. Thank you, Dana. Good job. Oof. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you,
Okay, the
Kevin.
first
I appreciate you.
category that we have is not registered insured. We had 1 ballot that was registered after the deadline, the
Okay.
195th.
Okay, I move that this board does not accept ballots not in the SURE system by the voter registration deadline for the special election. Is there a second?
Second.
Does any commissioner have any comments before we vote?
I have a question for Kevin. Kevin, do we know where the voter was registered previously?
They were not registered previously.
Thank you. I vote no. I vote yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Secretary Bluestein, you going to call the roll?
Yes. I've noted Vice Chair Deeley's vote in the affirmative. I also vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Okay, we will now move to the next category.
Okay, for canceled registrations, we had 0.
With no ballots in this category, we will move to the next category, please.
Okay, the next category is registered in another county. We did not have any of those. However, we did have 9 that were registered in another election district that was not the 195th or 201st.
Okay. I move that this board does not accept ballots registered outside the special election district. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioners, do you have any comments on this item before we vote?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Kevin.
Sure.
Kevin, do we know if any of these voters had previously been registered in specifically the 195th or the 201st?
Yes.
They were?
Well, one was in the 201st, but he was voting in the 195th. And
Are we
others were 181st, 190th.
Are we doing any kind of check to see if voters could have been residents of the district?
Yes, we have done that.
All right, thank you.
Secretary, did you have any comment?
I have none, thank you.
Okay. You want to call the roll?
Vice Chair Deely.
I vote yes.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now move on to the next category.
Okay, the next category is not signed by voter. We had 0 ballots.
No ballots in this category. We'll move to the next category.
Okay, only 1 voter signature on the ballot. We had 4 from the 195th.
I move that this board does not accept provisional ballots with only one voter with only one voter signature. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioners, do you have any do you have any comments on this item before we vote?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Kevin.
Sure.
Kevin, the voters did affix a signature to these envelopes, correct?
That is correct.
And that signature was enough for the staff to compare the signature on the provisional ballot envelope with the signature on the elector's registration form?
It was. Oh, sorry.
So it was determined to be genuine?
It was determined to be a valid signature, correct.
Thank you.
Secretary Bluestein, you have any comments?
I have no comments.
I understand your sentiments on this, Vice Chair. I do. We're going to proceed to vote.
Vice Chair Deely.
I vote to count. I vote nay.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now move to the next category.
Okay, the signature does not match. We had 0 ballots in that category.
With no ballots in this category, we'll move to the next category, please.
We had 1 person in 201st that the staff determined they voted in person.
I move that this board does not accept provisional ballots where the voter voted in person. Commissioners, do you have any comments on that?
I have none.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion is second for the record, and none of the commissioners have any comment on this motion. Secretary Bluestein, would you call the roll?
Vice Chair Deely.
Vote aye.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Okay, we go to the next category.
We have 1 ballot for no ward and division on the envelope. That was in the 201st.
I move that this board accepts provisional ballots with no ward or division on the envelope. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioners, do you have any comments on this item before we vote?
I have none.
Secretary Bluestein, please call the roll.
Before I do so, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question for Kevin.
Sure.
Even though there was no ward and division on the envelope, this ballot was returned to the board with the other materials.
That is correct.
Vice Chair Deely.
I vote aye.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now move to the next category.
Okay, we've had 5 ballots that were returned that were voted by mail or absentee. 1 in the 195th, 4 in the 201st.
I move that this board does not accept provisional ballots where we return. I move that this board does not accept provisional ballots where a return, mail, or absentee ballot was counted. Is there a second?
Second.
Does any commissioners have any comments on this motion
I do not.
Do not.
or questions? No?
Nope.
Okay. Secretary Bluestein, please call the roll.
Vice Chair Deely.
Aye.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. We will now move to the next category.
We have 1 ballot in the 195th that was not enclosed in a secrecy envelope.
I move that this board does not accept provisional ballots not enclosed in a secrecy envelope. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioners, do you have any comments on these items before we vote or questions?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I have remarks on the motion.
Proceed.
Mr. Kevin, were these voters determined to be registered voters?
Yes.
And these voters signed the affidavit correct?
Yes.
So the only thing wrong with these ballots is that they are missing a secrecy envelope, right?
That is correct.
I believe whether or not a ballot is in a secrecy envelope is not material in determining whether or not such individual is qualified under state law to vote in such election. But unlike the mail ballots where the voters are filling them out on their kitchen table, these voters are doing this process in the polling place. The judge of elections should be instructing them to place their ballot in the secrecy envelope. So this is a poll worker error that we should not be punishing the voter for. Furthermore, difference here is the provisional ballots are outlined in federal law, the Help America Vote Act, and this is a federal election. State law determines if someone is eligible to vote. If we determine these voters to be registered and that they signed the affidavit and that they have not already voted in any other way, then we must count them. PA law has extra hurdles, but putting a ballot in a secrecy envelope has no bearing on whether or not someone is qualified to vote. I believe the Pennsylvania law is in conflict with the Help America Vote Act. This has not been the subject of recent court challenges. In addition, the secrecy envelope does not prevent fraud or determine timeliness, so we may be looking at another violation of the Free and Equal Elections Clause of the Pennsylvania Constitution. Therefore, I believe that these ballots should count.
Secretary Bluestein, you want to call? Did you have any comments or questions on this?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. You want to call the roll?
Vice Chair Deeley.
No.
I vote aye. Chairman Sabir.
Aye. That motion passes. We will now move to the next category.
The next category is not signed by board workers. We have 0 ballots.
Okay. Any non-agenda items?
I have none.
I have none. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to say thank you, as always, all our staff, connecting together with satellites, special election, and this upcoming historic November 5th election. Keep up the great work. We're going to make history, guys. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.